That's a live look at State Farm Stadium in Arizona, where thousands of people are gathering for conservative activist Charlie Kirk's memorial. President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, are among those slated to speak. My panel joins me now. Alex Thompson, a CNN political analyst and national political correspondent for Axios. Kristen Holmes, CNN's senior White House correspondent. Sochi Hinojosa, a CNN political commentator, former DNC communications director. And Brad Todd, CNN political communicator and GOP consultant and strategist. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. While we watch things start to get underway, they're not quite there yet in Arizona. I want to turn to something that we talk about, I don't know, every 6 months, every year, and have for years, I would say, unfortunately here, which is Congress gets to the point, Washington gets to the point where they're about to run out of money because their funding is hitting a deadline, and they try to figure out how to keep the government open and the politics that all are involved in that. Chuck Schumer, the Democratic senator from New York, who is the Democratic leader, was on State of the Union with me this morning. And unlike 6 months ago when he voted yes to keep the government running, and other Democrats did as well, and got some blowback from people in his base, this time he is pushing hard towards potentially a shutdown because he's trying to push back on Republicans in charge. Listen to what he said to me this morning.
I hope and pray that Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past. That's how shutdowns have been avoided in the past.
And if he doesn't, I'm just confirming here, you will vote no. Is that correct?
We are hoping, Dana, that he will negotiate with us.
And if he
doesn't? So far he hasn't. And we've had 2 bills in the House and Senate, and neither of them have passed. Our Democrats are firm. We need to get something done to relieve the distress the American people are in.
Sochi, talk about the politics that are going on inside the Democratic Party that brought Chuck Schumer to this point.
Well, he faced, as you mentioned, a lot of backlash last time around for really not having a strategy. Democrats, they didn't feel like he walked in with any sort of strategy for a shutdown, et cetera. This time around, I do think he's doing better, along with Jeffries, which it was very telling when the Senate voted that the Democratic bill got more votes than the Republican bill. And so I found that interesting. It wasn't just Democrats that voted against the Republican bill. You also had Murkowski and others who voted against it. But then I also think it was smart for them to ask for a meeting with Donald Trump. It's very clear that Johnson isn't going to negotiate. He sent everyone back home on recess. And so he sort of owns this shutdown, and they want to put the pressure on Republicans and on Johnson. So I found it interesting that they asked for this meeting. It looks like Trump would like to meet with them. He will ultimately be the decision maker in this. And it just shows that Democrats are wanting to come to the table. They don't want to shut down. So I do think that Democrats are handling it a lot better than last time. And there is somewhat of a strategy compared to last time.
But the leaders might not want to shut down. But there's a lot of pressure from, as you were saying, from the Democratic base to do just that, to show they're fighting.
Yeah, I think that there is pressure. I never agree with a shutdown. I don't think it's good for either party for there ever to be a shutdown. And I think that going back many years, I think both leaders would understand that and understand that it's not popular. But at the same time, I think Chuck Schumer needs to show that he's fighting. And that's what he's doing right now.
I think Chuck Schumer better be careful and prove that he can lead. That's the question that independents who will decide this election are asking. Democrats have always said it's irresponsible to shut down the government. You gave Chuck Schumer this morning 3 chances to say that he would not vote to shut down the government, and he refused to tell you yes. You gave him more than enough room to do that. He is headed toward doing something irresponsible because the Democratic Party is irresponsible right now. And that's I realize he's got a lot of pressure. I realize he's worried that AOC might primary him, but it's time for him to do what's right for the country and not what's right for Chuck Schumer.
But he also knows that this is about health care. And I think that they want the midterm elections to be about the economy and health care. And I think that's what he's ultimately trying to pick that fight.
It's about keeping the government open, period. You can't insert another issue into it and say it so, it's about something else. No, should we close
Democrats are saying we'll do it as long as you put more money in there for health care subsidies.
We'll hold the country hostage unless we get our way.
Alex, there is a lone Democratic voice in the Senate caucus, and that is John Fetterman, who was saying, do not do this. It is a disaster strategically. Listen to what he told me.
I would love to restore a lot of those healthcare things. That's the right outcome, but that's a dangerous tactic if you are going to shut the government down for one of our policies do. I think it's the right thing to extend those healthcare things, but it is absolutely the wrong thing for a lot of reasons that we're going to shut our government down. I condemned it when the Republicans threatened to do that thing, and it's entirely wrong for us to do the same thing now.
I think the line is Democrats in disarray, right? Is that they are not all on the same page here. You have people that are actively calling for a shutdown, not just for healthcare reasons, but because, and you saw this in Ezra Klein's piece like a few weeks ago that circulated around Capitol Hill that said we need to shut it down in order to stop Trump's authoritarian government. Then you also have some Democrats saying, no, we need to do it for ACA subsidies. Some Democrats are saying for Medicaid, to roll back the Medicaid cuts. They are not all on the same page. And John Fetterman, while is the lone public voice, is not the only voice privately that does not want to shut down, in part because they do not believe the party has an exit strategy. Once you shut the government down, you still need to have Democratic votes in order to reopen it. What is the strategy if Republicans say no?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I do think one thing to note on that is when you don't have Democrats with the same messaging, it allows Donald Trump and his administration to do what they do best, which is to coalesce behind the message that this is Democrats' fault and blaming a shutdown on them rather than the fact that he is in office at this time.
Kristen, I want to turn to Arizona. What are your sources telling you about the tone and tenor that the president wants to set with his speech?
Well, there's what they're saying and what we might ultimately see. And I think
Fair
we're going to
point.
have to wait to actually see what he puts forward. And I will remind you that when he sat in the Oval Office, to him and to the people around him, that was a measured speech that honored the life of Charlie Kirk. To many, they believe that that was a blame game, that that was an opportunity for him to unite the country, and instead he blamed Democrats and the left. We know he's been personally involved in this. This has hit him. He is very close. He was very close to Charlie Kirk, and it's not just him. He sees it in the people around him who all had relationships with Kirk. This is personal for him. He's spending a lot of time himself writing and editing this speech and infusing what he believes should be in there. He has said that he wanted to focus on Charlie Kirk's faith and his messaging and his movement. But of course, as we know, President Trump does often take these in a political direction. So I think at that point is when I say, let's wait and see what he says.
Well, and I think this very tragic memorial is doubling as a political fight within the Republican Party. You have seen many parts of MAGA and the Republican Party try to claim Charlie Kirk as part of their legacy. And you've seen a lot of, in inter-party divisions. I think it's very interesting that Tucker Carlson is going to be speaking, who has been very active on pushing back against people like Pam Bondi and other people that have tried to invoke Charlie Kirk's legacy in order to justify censoring hate speech and everything else. And so they're watching very closely to what these people say as they try to claim Charlie Kirk's legacy is going to be really interesting the next few hours.